Thanks for staying with us now. The Constitution has vested in the House of Representatives the power to make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of the Federation. The House of Representatives also has broad oversight functions and is therefore empowered to establish committees of its members to scrutinize bills and the conduct of the government institution and officials. Now, what is the relevance of the House of Representatives to the common man, and what impact are the members, having on our day-to-day living? Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663, or you can tweet at us at WadeShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WadeShow. I have to quickly hear your thoughts in 1 minute, so I'll bring in our guest. What do you think the relevance of the House of Representatives is to you, Alero? I don't want to go to honorable yet. What do you think? Do you think they're doing a good job? Do you think they're...
I mean, I'm hoping to see the things that I would really want to see. For instance, I mean, I would want education to be free for children. I would want the youth to have access to jobs, not just waiting for jobs to be created for them, but they should be able to create, a good life for themselves. So I'm hoping that today we'll get to hear what the plans are. I mean,
we have another aspirant in our...
right.
So, Milola, you are running for House of Representatives as well for Ogun State, Waterside. How do you
Ijebu
East,
Ijebu
East and Ijebu North. So tell me, what do you think the relevance, of your role going into that house would be to us as common people in Nigeria?
Very interesting. Now, this is a chance to talk about manifesto, but I'll try not to discuss my manifesto yet. But I believe, by and large, the importance of the critical function for why we have members of citizens as House of Representatives is to be able to represent their constituency, their members. They are the direct access to government in their local. So you're naturally supposed to be able to get in touch with your local environment, understand the needs of your people, and then escalate it. You are the bridge between the people and the government. That's why you're representative. So a lot of things are part of the functions and responsibility of a House of Representative member. But the primary function is to be able to mediate between the people, connect the government to the people at the local level. For me, that's pretty much the primary function. Okay. So it is out of that you then start to say, okay, you want to make bills, you want to pass laws, you want to drive projects, and everything that goes in between.
Absolutely. All right, so let me bring in our guest. Honorable Olusegun Ololulade served as former chairman of the House of Committee on Health Service, as well as former chair, House Committee on Information Strategy, Security, and the Publicity in the 7th Lagos State House of Assembly. He moved several motions at the floor of the Assembly. Few of them are the motion to compel teaching of indigenous language in primary and secondary schools in Lagos State, motion for immortalization of the late Afrobeat legend, social crusader Fela Anikulapo Kuti, and many more. He is the first lawmaker in Nigeria to start informative radio program for constituents' feedback and engagement efforts. He is also the founder of the Eleniyan Cares Leadership Foundation, which partners London School of Economics in England and Leadership Institute Virginia in the United States of America. Honorable Olusegun Ololulade has bagged many awards, amongst which are the Outstanding Lawmaker of the Year in 2012, Legislative Excellence Award same year, and Most Media-Friendly Lawmaker in 2015. Honorary Citizen of Georgia by the state of Georgia in the United States, and a lot more. And he's a friend of the house, and he's joined us live in studio. Thank you so much, Honorable, for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It's nice
having
great women around me like this.
You're welcome to this
in an evening.
Yeah, yes.
And also that we also have
a fellow
aspirant. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us. I mean, this is actually very interesting because I have actually worked closely with you over a period, and I've seen the work that you've done. I mean, it's not just reading accolades. You're actually one person to look out for because you do stand out. So the current challenge that we have is that Nigerians, up until now, because I think the awareness is coming a bit better now, up until now, Nigerians were so concerned about executives. we're thinking president, we're thinking governor. We're not thinking who are the people that would represent my interests. You know, when eventually there is a governor and who are the people that will be on their head with the hammer, say this has to happen for my constituency.
Exactly.
We were not thinking that, but now everybody, I think, to some extent, is now aware of the importance and the relevance of the House of Representatives, you know, the Senate, you know, in the local state, that's the House of Assembly and all of that. So people are now paying more attention to the kinds of people that we are voting in those positions. So tell us, first of all, what do you think this relevance is? How important is it for us to get the right people into those House of Representatives?
Well, I would first of all like to say that it's not just about House of Representatives. We talk about the legislative arm of government and talk about the Senate, the House of Reps, and the House of Assemblies of different states. Like you rightly said, a lot of people just felt if you are not in the executive arm, you are not part of the government. But the real people that will represent your interests are the legislatures. And unfortunately for us in this part of the world, we ignore that part. We concentrate so much, as it's even happening now. Everybody is talking about the presidency, everybody is talking about governorship, and we are neglecting those people, those key people. At the end of the day, we keep complaining. And that is why I said a lot of the people that are complaining today, where people do not even have PVC or that have the opportunity of voting. Now, when we look at that and look at the numbers of people who are not voting, you know that those people who are not voting are the real people that are voting the bad people in government. And that is why we need to take cognizance of who is going to represent me. What is your antecedent? What have you done before? If you have not been part of any political party or you have not been in an office before, you must show us what you did even within your family.
The private sector.
As a private person. And I am not always in support of people who do not have a steady income before coming into office or before contesting. You see some people, they don't have such steady income. So they look at politics as a means of making money. And that is why we will continue to have issues. One major aspect of, like she was talking about, is representing people, but there is another aspect of governance that we must not overlook at all, and that is the oversight function of members. And unfortunately for us in the House of Rep now, we have about 360 people that are to represent the entire country. Now, in your own constituency, a lot of people do not even know who is their honorable member representing them in a particular constituency. And at the end of the day, you can't complain. Because when you complain, you are the one that made it so. So, and that's why I keep encouraging people now that you must go and get your PVC. You must get your PVC, you must join political party. I was in a church on Sunday and I told them, I said, look, every one of you, you just believe that you can just bad people, politics is dirty, and that is a way to keep good people out of politics. They keep telling us politics is dirty and nobody wants to join. But now, when we talk about legislative arm of government, that is where your budgets every year is being prepared. No matter what the executive prepared and brings to the parliament is dead on arrival. It is the members of that legislative arm of government, and that's why you see at times they increase the budget. At times they remove some aspect of the
budget. They amend the budget.
Yes, of the budget of a particular ministry and put it in another ministry. Why do they do so? Why do I have to take something from your? Because it wasn't well prepared, and that shows you why it is important that we must have people, credible people. You can't just have people. Some people just have money, and that's the end. And they bring money into the polity, and they start blowing the money, and people start voting for them. At the end of the day, we continue to have issues with our National Assembly.
But so I want you to rate. Sorry, ladies, I'll come to you. I want you to rate this current House of Representatives that we have currently in Nigeria. Tell me how well you think they're doing. How well you think they're represented. Performed? Yes, have they performed? You know, and what's your assessment of them? Let me just leave it.
Well, to be sincere, this current legislative arm of government, they've done well in the area of oversight and in the area of representation. Some of them is not all, and that's why when we look at it, I would give them maybe 65 to 70, because percent. Because I have seen a situation where they were doing things that affect, like what she was talking about. I saw a bill by a member of the House talking about if you are a member of, or a government official, you cannot travel with government money for medical trip. Those things were going on before. But now somebody is coming up from that angle to say, no, we can't be doing this. So that means something. And there is another bill even on education that, look, if you must send your children to overseas for schooling, it mustn't be that government will be the one to sponsor it, which was going on also in some government establishment. So we're looking at a situation, and that's why we will continue, because we have other people who are not doing anything. We keep believing that everybody at the National Assembly are not doing well. But until you start scrutinizing them one after the other, you will discover that we have a lot of them that are doing well, but we can do better.
Thank you.
I have more questions, but you guys should go ahead.
No, you can go on and ask the question. For me, I don't know, well, you said a lot of things. One of the reasons why people ask why you run for office and why you're running for House of Representative, for me, if I choose to answer that question, is because out of the many functions of a House of Representative, 4 stood out for me. And that is lawmaking. They do correction to defective law and amendments. They are in charge of control public funds, and they do investigation. Many of this function is really what drives the economy. It starts from making a law and ensuring that those funds have been followed through. And aside of that, any fund that's been disbursed during budgeting year, they can do investigation on them. If you have such a power to be able to do checks and balances to the executive arm, you pretty much are controlling a larger chunk of what happens at the executive arm of government. And for me, that's one of the best places to make significant influence and impact. And also, as a representative, you're in direct relationship and contacts with your constituency if you do it as you should. If you're able to really follow through on your promises, on your commitment as a legislature, you should be able to get in touch with your people through either town hall meetings or even physical meeting at your own place of residence or your own constituency office. So there is no better way to directly affect lives than holding such offices. Because for me, when I thought I was going to run for office and I was going to run to be part of governance, I looked at where would I be most effective, and that office gives me the best platform to be able to add significant value for me, and that's why I'm running on that platform. And I've had people ask me, why are you doing federal and why are you not doing state House of Assembly?
Why are you not starting from?
I've had people ask me, why are you doing House of Representatives? Today I had a chat with somebody and was saying,
senator.
No, Kule ran for Senate, you know, and was asking me, Milola, the only thing I know of you was you were in civil service. Now you're doing your private business. And you jump from going into politics and you want to run for House of Representative. That's a tall order. Do you have a godfather? And all of these questions always,
we need to ask Eleniyan.
Always come out.
Do you have a godfather?
and it made me wonder, is it that I'm so naive or I'm so big on faith? Because people actually do not expect you to start from where I'm starting in politics and vie for such a position. But because I know who I am and I know what I can deliver, I see no reason why I should start at the lowest rung of the ladder.
Let me ask Eleniyan this question.
Well,
because of godfatherism is something that is really big. Because everywhere globally, people have godfathers, right?
Thank you.
So, but the challenge I think we have in Nigeria is how it now becomes like you are doing the bidding of somebody else. So you are just like a figurehead, but you're doing the bidding of somebody else. But tell me, let's break down, let's demystify this godfatherism. Okay. Can you help me do that?
Well, when we talk about godfatherism, it's what happens, like you have rightly said, it's like having a mentor. For me, it's like having a mentor that you look up to, and you see how the fellow are doing fed in his whole capacity as your mentor. And in politics, we also have what we call structure. So when you have such structure, you have people that are manning different layers of the structures, so that you can as well, she was talking about engaging the constituents. So when you are engaging the constituents, there are things that you can't get everybody all together at the same time, but you have stakeholders meetings. Those stakeholders have levels also. They are the one that will pass it across to others. So it's just like an administrative office. So you know that in every layer of your administration, there are people who you can relate with. Every department, there are people you can talk to in this particular department. So when we talk about godfatherism, even in church, we have God's son. This is my godfather, and all sorts of things. Why do we now have to criminalize the issue of godfatherism in politics? Is something that is universal, and is like you can, if you don't want to call it godfather, please call it godmother. So that it will make it more mentorship. You understand? So if you don't have a godfather, if you don't have a mentor in politics, you might not get it right. When I was coming into politics, I saw people that I said, I just want to be like this person in politics. And those were the ones that inspired me, that shaped my thinking and my reasoning, and even my disposition to issues. Because I have seen the way such people have handled issues. If they have done it in the wrong way and they made mistakes, which is also normal as a human being, then I also know that I cannot follow that route that they pass through, that I can go through another means.
Okay. Let me take a break.
A situation where your godfather now become lords over you, then that is where
but that's what we get in Nigeria. But let's go on a break. We shall be right back. Stay with us. Alright, so if you just tune in, we're having an amazing chat with Olusegun Ololulade on the House of Representatives and its relevance. Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag #WaitShow. Alright, so you're going to say something on godfatherism?
Yeah, I was just going to weigh in on, just to buttress what Honorable in the House said. If you're ever going to go far in life, you have to leverage. And for me, if I've ever grown this far, is by standing on the shoulders of giants. If you understand the power of leverage and networking, then you will never undermine the role of leadership or mentorship. Without a doubt, there's a lot of abuse in our system. And it is not peculiar to just the political space. But because the politics is one thing that is a lot of public people have public opinion about, it's easier for us to put it in that term. Without a doubt, you would need people to leverage their skills, their network, their resources, and their experience in order to grow significantly in politics. I remember when I just started, I was a rookie, and I've learned so much by conversing, by talking, by counseling, taking counsels with people who are seasoned politicians. Now, the part where you surrender the custody of your mind and the control of your life and your welfare to a godfather is where I draw the line. Without a doubt, there are people, everybody loves control. If you allow any man to take control or take advantage of you, you would find yourself in that situation. So I do not think having a godfather in the real sense is bad, because I've had people ask me, who's your godfather? I say, Jesus Christ and the Nigerians are my godfathers. But does it mean I do not want people? Of course I want people. I was talking to one of my egbon today, and he said, be careful even how you form alliances, because then you start to come across as if you've already taken side. This is some of the challenges with politics in Nigeria.
Let's go back to House of Representatives.
Okay.
Godfatherism is interesting, but I want us to go back. So when we picture what the House should look like, what do you think the possibilities are, for what can become if truly we have a function? Because I don't totally agree with you that these people have gotten a pass mark, right? I don't think so. I think there has been a lot of redundancy, right? It's almost like, okay, let's just partner together. You're not supposed to partner. we're supposed to be hearing that people are doing basbos, people are fighting with the executives. Yes, because why? The executives are bringing something is not going well with your constituency, your system, and you are supposed to. I don't think you're supposed to have that kind of harmony or synergy, right? You would work together, but it cannot be so. There has to be some fight. Yes, disagreement to agree. Yeah. But we don't see that. It's almost like everything it just enters. You know. So what do you think? You know, your picture for what the House of Representatives should look like, because 2023 is a year of a lot of shifts. A lot of things will change. Yeah. We're experiencing a new government, so we're not seeing a continuity anymore. The Buhari administration would end, and a new, fresh one will start. Yeah. So how can we leverage that to get the right people, both in the executives and in that house, the federal house?
Now, let me first of all start from the relevance of the House of Representatives. We have seen we operate a bicameral legislature in Nigeria, and the House of Representatives, the reason we need it is for equal representation. If, for instance, just imagine, and for the grassroots to be rich. Now, for instance, if we just have 3 senators in Lagos State, how do you expect those senators to understand what is happening to them in Ajeromi, Felodun, in Nekpe, so it will be very, very difficult. And that is why we have those representatives to man their own different constituencies within the state. And it will give room for those layers of interactions. And when you talk about a legislature fighting always, it might not always work that way. We can disagree as a legislature. We have 360 people as legislature. Look at Lagos State, for instance. I was there for 8 years as State House of Assembly. Yeah. And yet, it's not that we do not disagree. So many times we are disagreeing. But the issue is that we disagree to agree. And we settle all this things. We don't need to start throwing chairs like we used to see in some clients.
That's what Sua is expecting, because she has seen a number of that and she thinks that's how it's supposed to be.
No. We don't need to do that. And you can see that we're having a situation of recent, about this last weekend, I am aware that they have legislative and executive party in Lagos State. What does that party tend to achieve? It's because they were trying to talk to themselves that, okay, what do we need? So when we dialogue on issues, we get better results than engaging
in a fisticuff.
Thank you. So it is important that we understand that aspect also, because we always believe that until they start fighting, that is when they are doing working. Anything. They might be fighting and they might be taking away your money. And you will think they are fighting for you, but they are not fighting for you.
But you touched on money. Go ahead.
Yes, I talked on money. So they might be fighting and you believe that, yeah, these people are really talking about me. And no, the fighting might be because of the contract or because of the money that somebody is not releasing. So at times when you sit down and see what is going on at the parliament, and you see them that they are always having a means, especially in a mature parliament, where they have means of dialoguing with the executive. If I have something to say, I could recall my first time at the House of Assembly, and I have an issue with roads in Lagos State with my own constituency. What do? I wrote the governor, BRM then, and I said, you have done XYZ roads in Lagos State, but you have not done any road in my constituency. And it was like, why? How? And I put down, he said, where do you get this figure? I said, cross-check from your
from your record.
From your record. And at the end of the day, he came back and said, okay, which road are you nominating for us? You understand? So I have to give out, so because I did my own work very well.
Is this supposed to be like about lobby? Yeah. I don't understand.
No, that is because we have 360, we have 40 at the State Assembly here. So everybody wants everything to come to their own constituency. So if you don't lobby, at times you might not get it.
Hey,
so you need to lobby people. You need to take them from their own point. If we have this cup to share among the four of us, I must find a means to talk to you, to talk to her, and ensure that even if she is not going to agree with me, but the two of you will just say, let us give it to Eleniyan. And that is what lobbying is all about. And that is what, as a legislator, you must learn how to do that.
The art of lobby.
The art of lobby is key as a parliament. And if you don't have that, we'll continue to have people who will just go there and sleep and collect money at the end of the day.
So talking about collecting money.
Thank you.
You haven't said.
We are talking about 360 House of Representative members.
Yes.
Your salary is crazy. We are complaining that the economy in Nigeria. Would you guys start considering?
No, I've not got there.
Wait now, when you get there. When you start considering, will you start considering not collecting money? Just maybe like a sitting allowance, like something small, like thank you
like
for coming, like a stipend. Because we are complaining that the system, the government is over bloated, right? We do not have money. We're borrowing money to pay salaries. That is crazy, right? So are you guys considering, how can you work towards, reducing the overhead of the federal government?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. It's both ways. I traveled to Germany some few years back, and we went and met with some other parliamentarians from that part of the world. And I asked the lady, I said, she has been at the parliament for almost 24 something years then. I asked her, have you done any empowerment before? She said no. I said, okay, have you ever done anything for your constituents, as in maybe somebody is doing naming ceremony like we do here, or somebody is school fees you need to pay, or you need to
support people.
Or support people in one way or the other. And she told me all through those years she has spent at the parliament, that the only time that they have a storm that affected one particular area, that she now raised fund for them, and that was
all she did.
That was only what she has done throughout those 20-something years as a parliament. But here you can ask her, since they started seeing her posters, they will have started sending her some invite, making requests for school fees, for her to come and do naming ceremony. So it's in both ways. If we must have genuine people, then it will get to a point that I wouldn't need to collect even those allowances that we are talking about. She was talking about maybe she just have to start from the House of Rep. I beg to disagree. You can start as a councillor, and in that particular aspect that you are serving, you know you are going there to serve. And that's why in this part of the world, you can't be a governor and come and serve as a councillor. They will say something is wrong with you. That is our mentality. And that is what is affecting everybody around here. The society does not support what we are talking about. Until when people...
I beg to disagree.
Okay.
Because you know why? If you are talking about paying school fees, paying what's it called?
Supporting
people for hospital bills, because those are the things that my child never goes to school and all of that. Shouldn't you then fight for the better healthcare? Shouldn't you be the one fighting louder for better education? Because that's the thing. If we understand our role as the federal constituency and the house, that you are fighting that every single constituent in Nigeria has one of the best schools, that can compete globally. Yeah. You don't need to. Nobody will come and meet you for school fees. You say, there is free school somewhere.
I told you to take it.
So this is what because I hear this all the time. They say Salah is coming, you have to buy RAM. You don't have to do anything. If the system is working, that nobody's asking you for a penny, that there are things that people can.
Everything is in place.
Everything is in place.
But
you don't need to have. You don't need that money for that.
We don't have those things.
So how can we fight? Is that not your job as the
Yes.
You're not aware of the state of this country, and you're comparing a developed country with an underdeveloped country. One thing about Nigerians is that we're highly entitled by culture and nature. Trust me, the reason why people would bring their needs and their responsibilities to you is because they believe that because you're running for us or because you're in government, you hold them that, irrespective of whether you have done any community work or you have done anything to support the system. Trust me, when it comes to looking at the situation of salaries and not, we are looking at the cup as either being half full or half empty. We should look more at creating wealth in the country, so much so that the salaries of legislatures become infinitesimal when compared to the wealth of the nation. I'm not saying this to support the fact that the salary is not really large, because when I heard about how much they earn, I would not lie, I'm looking forward to earning that money. And if it was you, my brother, I'm not going to have that conversation now. And if it is you, really, you would want to earn that money. But then, it's about not just receiving that salary, but actually earning it. There's a difference between when you earn the money because you have worked and labored tirelessly for it, by making sure that you support and you are defending the people that you're supposed to be representing. We should look at more avenues to wealth, and whether we provide laws or do all the functions and the responsibility of a legislator or not, Nigerians are Nigerians. They would always bring you demand. Whether you've been able to bring free education for all, you've not had a situation where people will tell you that. I've had people talk to me about, oh, I was going to sponsor a child for a job or a scholarship, and the father said, that's that child, I want that money, give me my own share, the child will be all right. People sabotage themselves for self-interest. Wow. And it's not just about people in government, but even Nigerians. Sometimes they would rather you give them fund than do any community project that will benefit the masses. Absolutely. These are what we see when you go canvassing and seeking endorsement.
Okay, there are issues. Let me also portray what she just said now. A situation where somebody is saying, let us give you a transformer in your area. And the area boys are saying, we want money before that transformer can be installed. Right. What can we call sabotage?
Why are the area boys there in the first place? That's my question.
This is a developing country map.
Who empowered those area boys?
Nobody empowers them. Nobody empowers them. The society empowers them. You have your own children. You can manage what you have. There are people who are giving birth to children all over the country. They cannot raise them. Those boys turn to anything. I was watching something earlier today. I saw about 7-year-old boy that is smoking igbo. So when you look at such issues, who trained that boy to be doing that?
So that's what I'm saying.
So it's the society. Every time you drive around here, you see people knocking your windows.
So whose role is it to clean up that society? That's my point.
It's a collective work.
I've not heard you in a minute, but we have like 1 minute to go. Go ahead.
I mean, what I've basically been thinking about really is everybody's worrying about the presidential election and the gubernatorial election. Who is actually asking about the community and the constituency, the people in the local government that's supposed to start from the grassroots? Who is going to actually fix all of that? What is the plan for 2023 to ensure that the people in that neighborhood or in that community actually would vote the right people in that will actually serve them right? So what are you going to advise the people to do, basically, so that this can be solved? Because, I mean, everybody will come with their problems and with their... we want you to help us.
You have the last minute.
Okay, now, let me be sincere with you. What we should be looking at for are credible people, people of integrity, people who have pedigree, who have antecedent of what they have done. And if you don't have such, if you don't have the experience, if you don't have what you are bringing to the table, the value you want to add to the system, you don't have any business coming into politics or representing me as a constituent. So it is the responsibility of everybody to understand that it is not those 20 naira or the rice or the 1,000 naira that they are going to give to you for you to go and vote for them that matters. Yeah. But who is this fellow? We must start asking questions. Where does the fellow get his or her work from? Who is he or she? Where is she coming from? Those are the questions that we must ask. And what does he have to offer?
Honorable Eleniyan, I'm going to bring you back, don't worry, because we don't have time. Because I was going to say that this thing you just said, it is you politicians, because you have joined them. Politicians.
So now I'm on the other
Yes,
side.
on the other side.
It's fine.
I am a citizen today. It is the politicians that have created these people, right? Kept them undereducated or poorly educated, kept them in that perpetual state where they feel entitled to think that they need to collect money from you to be able to vote. You created this monster.
I understand.
So how are you going to solve the problem to correct the monster that you have created?
Oh, wow. Let me tell you, one of the things that is missing pretty much is lack of education and adequate information. People do not even know who they should place the demand that he plays out on. A lot of, we're talking about, just like she said, gubernatorial presidential election. A lot of people are not even aware. They don't even take any interest whatsoever in the legislatures or the councillors or their local
That's what we're paying attention.
So we need to enlighten people. Let's take this, let's use our voice, let's use our platform to enlighten people adequately.
The importance.
Yes.
Okay,
people need to know. Okay, we'll continue this conversation.
Alayo, you have 1 second. You have one thing to say?
Well, all I will say is that please, this coming election, get your PVC, get ready to vote, and also ensure that you belong to a political party. And if you need my advice on joining any political party, please join APC. And with that,
this man has changed the
conversation. No, I'm just saying that if you
are you here to converse for APC
if you need
as a party of
if you
interest?
Need advice from me, if you need to
which party to join,
or which party, I have that responsibility to say that you can join APC. But without that, please join a political party and be involved in politics.
We're going to bring you back. I hope you come back, because when it's getting closer to that time, I really want to now hear your full-time manifesto. What exactly you have planned out for your people, because I know you do work. But this conversation is not so much for you and Milola. It's more for the awareness of these things, because we created these monsters. We have to find ways to solve the problem. That's what we're here for. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Yes, I did.
Thank you. Thank you, Alera. Thank you, Honorable Milola and Honorable Olusegun Ololulade. All right, so before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our social media engagements, like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. The House of Representatives should not be locked down by the decided play of a few in leadership. This is very powerful. They should actually be independent and have their own voice to do their bidding, and why they are there. We should see the impact of why they are there. We'll see you guys live tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.